He's a tinker man, he's a tinker man, a servant of the worshippers he. He can take some parts out a little hard and make an invention you need. He's a tinker man, he's a tinker man.
Right, so this was actually Tinker's armchair from the early series of The Seamstress and the Tinker. And he'd have his candle over here. He always had his candle for our story time. Question. What is your relationship with Tinker? How did the character come from you? Okay. I think at the moment it's fairly safe to say Tinker is both my best friend and my nemesis. We drive each other nuts. Simple as that. He reminds me very much of some of the Alice Cooper stories that I've heard, where Alice talks about being an alcoholic in the late 70s, and he'd be backstage somewhere, sobering up, looking at the costume, and that costume to him became a monster. It became the monster side of him. Then he'd go out and perform and put on the show. And then to deal with that character and that monster, he would then drink afterwards. I don't drink alcohol, and neither will Tinker. Tinker's a teetotaler. He drinks ginger beer, and he gets that from me. When I wanted to create the character of Tinker, I didn't want the impossible. I'm not an actor. So I thought, and I thought, I'd do a lot of thinking. And I picked up paper and I made notes. And I'd seen Tideland by Terry Gilliam. And behind the scenes, there's a shot of him with Janet McTeer showing her how to walk, or how her character should walk. And I'm a big fan of both Terry Gilliam and Janet McTeer. Useless trivia. So I started to imitate that, and I realised that walking technique, that style, was really just an exaggeration of what I would normally do. And I thought, well, what other characteristics could I exaggerate for Tinker? I'm clumsy, I'm always tripping over things, so I made Tinker always have an untied shoelace. It doesn't come through in the poetry videos so much, but it is there, trust me. Tinker would always drink tea. He would occasionally drink ginger beer. At times he discusses donuts. And basically he's trying to be the fun version of, or a limited version of me, but something that I could easily just turn on. Whereas I might wave at someone, Tinker's doing the big wave. A lot of his movements are exaggerated based on my own movements, but he's become a bit more exaggerated in front of the camera. And, you know, to borrow from Alice Cooper again, there's actually a mirror behind the camera, and I'm performing to myself. So I can see what Tinker's doing and how he's fitting in frame, if the arm's extending up too much. So Tinker did that. I ramble, as you can tell. I can't just answer a simple question with a simple answer. So Tinker has to ramble, and at times I've got to cut him back. I pause when I speak, so I let Tinker pause. And he borrows a lot of the same inflections that I have when I speak. But the other thing about Tinker, and I'm trying not to do it now, but having had a little bit of theatre training as a child, and having been a teacher, I know how to project my voice. So I try to slow Tinker down so that he speaks a little more methodically than I do, without trying to sound mechanical, but to throw the voice and be louder and to have that big personality. As soon as, hello, I'm Tinker, bang, that's who I am. And I might do one or two of those that get edited out to just get back into character, to warm up and to throw my voice. Recently I did a day where I did about 2 hours worth of being in front of the camera as Tinker. At the end of it, despite all the cups of tea, chamomile, peppermint, honey, I still had a sore throat because I wanted Tinker to be the bigger, extroverted version of me. I'm quite introverted, and I wanted to kind of be the guy who sat back and edited and put this thing together, and to communicate myself through that, but to communicate Tinker through being the extroverted child version of me. And like all young men, I've just sort of seen this with my grandsons and my own son, they don't stop to consider that there's tomorrow. They're in a relationship today, they're in love, and that's Tinker. He is that teenager who doesn't consider going to talk to someone else with more experience. He doesn't consider that the relationship I'm in today may break up tomorrow and I won't get married for another 10 years. It's all about being in the now. He's all about himself, trying not to be necessarily not narcissistic or sociopathic, but he doesn't think too much beyond the current, the now, himself, what's going to happen next, where he's come from, where he's going. None of that exists with Tinker. He's just, I guess, the extroverted version of me popping out and leaving everything else. All my other concerns are being left behind.
He's a tinker man, he's a tinker man, a servant of the worshipper's he. He can take some parts out a little hard and make an invention you need.